having us in your conference to present our latest research. As you already mentioned, it's entitled Exploring the Evolution of Carbon Offset Research, which is a bibliometric perspective on sustainable practices. Our team together, formed by Mihaela Popa, Valentina, Emilia, Balas, and myself, Arad, come from the Doctoral School of Systems Engineering from Petroleum-Gas, University of Ploiești, also from Faculty of Engineering, the Academy of Romanian Scientists, and the Center of Research, Development and Innovation in Psychology from the same Aurel Vlaicu University of Arad. First of all, in the introduction, we mentioned that along with the aggravation of global climate change, many sectors have been under new stress of sustainable practices and carbon management. Among the most profound strategies that have been enlisted to help counteract adverse effects of climate change is carbon offsetting, which stands for compensating for emission of greenhouse gases by investigating in a project that will either reduce or eliminate emissions. This method has gained significant impetus in the building industry, considering the huge potential that exists for carbon footprint reductions. In this background, voluntary carbon offset schemes have emerged as a significant building block. Liu and Cui, in their 2017 article, bring to the forefront the challenges and opportunities of such schemes, while laying great emphasis on baseline manipulation phenomenon that greatly influence carbon offsetting projects' credibility and actual outcomes. That article stresses the urgency of sound methodologies for the purpose of guaranteeing real environment value addition through carbon offset projects. Similarly, rooftop photovoltaic systems have been identified as one of the ways of maximizing carbon offset potential in urban cities. Chen, Yang, and Lei have assessed the impact of rooftop PV systems in China. The authors demonstrate that rooftop PVs will make significant contributions to the production of energy, which translates into a reduction of carbon emissions. This supports the policy of implementing renewable sources of energy within the urban planning and building design to give carbon neutrality. However, carbon neutrality on the urban built environment goes beyond solutions that lie within the realm of energy to urban dynamics and scenario-making analysis. Huang and collaborators made an expansive analysis of the urban built environment, highlighting how it is time the world struggled to think about urban planning and development. There is a demonstration of interwoven factors affecting carbon neutrality, and therefore suggests an approach that will incorporate economic, environment, and social dimensions in arriving at holistic strategies. Building on these insights, this research employs a bibliometric approach to investigate the current state of knowledge and emerging trends in the field of carbon offsetting within the building sector. Using the data from Web of Science core collection, an all-field search was conducted with the keywords carbon offset and building, yielding 87 relevant results. These results were downloaded in plain text format and imported to VOSviewer for further analysis. The methodological framework involved creating a map based on bibliometric data with a minimum co-occurrence threshold of 2. Out of 611 words, 119 met this threshold. To enhance the relevance of the analysis, terms deemed unimportant, such as geographical locations and specific terminologies not central to the research focus, were excluded. This process resulted in 4 distinct clusters, each representing a different thematic area within the broader context of carbon offsetting and sustainability in building practices. Thus, this study aims to provide a comprehensive qualitative analysis of these clusters, shedding light on the key terms and trends that define the current landscape of research in this domain. by examining the interrelationships among keywords and their respective clusters. This research seeks to identify critical area for future investigation and contribute to the ongoing discourse on sustainable building practices and carbon management. The literature on carbon offset programs and strategies presents thus a multi-phased landscaping ranging from baseline manipulation to the design of carbon neutral buildings and the potential of rooftop photovoltaic systems. Baseline manipulation, as discussed by Liu and Hui, underscores the importance of accuracy determining the reference emission level against which carbon offset credits are measured. This manipulation can significantly impact the effectiveness and integrity of voluntary carbon offset programs. Chen Yang and Lei further contribute to this discourse by examining the carbon offset potential of rooftop photovoltaic systems, particularly in the context of China. Their study highlights the role of renewable energy technologies in mitigating carbon emissions. Ventilation strategies also emerge as a significant consideration in the carbon offset initiatives. MacArthur conducts a benefit-cost analysis of increased outdoor air provision as a carbon offset measure. This underscores the need for innovative approaches to build design and operation to reduce carbon footprint while maintaining indoor air quality standards. Similarly, Hosseini and colleagues advocate for a path toward net zero buildings, emphasizing the integration of natural capital assessment frameworks to guide sustainable building practices. The literature also addresses challenges and approaches in forest carbon offset projects. Penn and collaborators have identified key challenges and strategies for addressing barriers in forest carbon offset projects, shedding light on the complexities involved in implementing such initiatives. Shinbrot and colleagues present a case study spanning over 14 years in an indigenous community in Panama, examining both the natural and financial impacts of payments for forest carbon offsets. This study underscores the importance of understanding the socio-economic dynamics and environmental implications of carbon offset initiatives in diverse contexts. Furthermore, research on carbon neutral building design and carbon offset service guidelines contribute to the discourse of sustainable urban development. Joe, Park, and Kim propose guidelines for tree planting in multifamily residential sites in Korea to enhance carbon offset services. Wang and collaborators present a case study on the design of carbon neutral buildings in rural China, emphasizing the importance of integrating sustainable practices into architectural design. In the agricultural sector, strategies for effective carbon offset design are also explored. Boiti and colleagues discuss environmentally friendly breeding practices and special heterogeneity as means of enhanced carbon offset effectiveness in beef cattle farming. This highlights the importance of incorporating sustainable practices across various sectors to achieve carbon neutrality goals. And similarly, Morand and Thomasin simulate shifts in Quebec's cropping practices, driven by carbon offset markets. Their research demonstrates how market incentives can drive changes towards more sustainable agricultural practices, aligning economic incentives with environmental goals. The literature also touches upon pricing mechanisms in carbon offset markets. Fulton and Verkaman analyzed optimal two-part pricing strategies in carbon offset markets, comparing different organizational types. Their findings contribute to the understanding of pricing mechanisms and market dynamics in carbon offset trading. Recently, the discourse on carbon offset strategies and sustainable built environments have evolved significantly, encompassing a diverse array of approaches and findings. Studies such as Huang and collaborators, Liang and collaborators highlight the pivotal role of renewable energy integration and life cycle assessment in promoting sustainable practices within the built environment. Huang and collaborators emphasize the ecological economic benefits of renewable energy deployment, underscoring its potential to mitigate carbon emissions and foster sustainable development. Lang and colleagues, through their environmental LCA of high-rise mass timber buildings, demonstrate the environmental advantages and cost effectiveness of integrating sustainable materials in construction. Moreover, research by Disenbekova and collaborators on energy efficiency measures in educational buildings, and also Meng and collaborators on innovative carbon reduction strategies in building design further contribute to understanding effective pathways towards achieving carbon neutrality. These studies collectively emphasize the interdisciplinarity nature of sustainable building practices, integrating technological innovation, environmental assessment, and policy frameworks to address global climate change. Also studies by Arad and colleagues on novel CTHP systems. Designs highlight technological innovations aimed at achieving nearly zero carbon building standards. These achievements underscore the critical role of integrated energy systems in reducing carbon footprints and enhancing building efficiency. Gembali and colleagues analyze socio-technical challenges in decarbonizing the construction industry, emphasizing the need to integrate socio-economic factors with technical solutions. Their study maps on influential barriers and opportunities for adopting decarbonization and circular economy practices, illustrating the complexity of transitioning towards sustainable building practices. Anderson and colleagues' financial analysis of popular plantations of carbon offset in Alberta and British Columbia provides insights into the economic viability of afforestation as a carbon sequestration strategy. This study underscores the dual benefits of forestry-based offset projects, balancing economic returns with environmental benefits. In forestry and land use context, Fisher and colleagues explore justice consideration in carbon offset forestry projects in Uganda, highlighting the importance of equitable distribution of benefits and participatory approaches in project outcomes. Their findings emphasize the need for socially inclusive strategies to ensure sustainable and acceptable outcomes in carbon offset initiatives. Looking at innovative marine-based solutions, Colin and colleagues evaluate the economic and environmental sustainability of seaweed farming for carbon offset in Ireland. Their analysis underscore the potential of oceanic resources in contributing to global carbon mitigation efforts, offering scalable solutions for sustainable agriculture and carbon sequestration. Bosans and colleagues examined the behavioral impacts of integrated carbon offsets on air travel decisions, revealing insights into consumer psychology and the effectiveness of guilt-reducing strategies in promoting sustainable travel behaviors. Sadat and colleagues emphasize the alignment of net zero energy, carbon neutrality, and regenerative concepts in sustainable architectural practices. Their exemplary study underscores the integration of innovative design principles to achieve holistic environmental benefits, illustrating practical pathways towards sustainable building standards. In the tourism sector, Zappel and colleagues assessed the motivations for carbon offsetting among environmentally certified enterprises, revealing varying drivers and barriers that influence participation in voluntary carbon markets. This study contributes insights into the complexities of aligning environmental stewardship with business operations in the tourism industry. Goofield and colleagues discussed the development of a carbon-neutral mine site accommodation village model, highlighting practical challenges and solutions in implementing sustainable practices within industrial contexts. Their model serves as a benchmark for integrating carbon neutrality strategies into resource-intensive sectors. In the realm of user interface design for carbon markets, Hussein and collaborators explore the design of trustworthy interfaces to enhance user engagement and transparency in voluntary carbon offset platforms. Their findings underscore the importance of user-centered design principles in promoting trust and efficiency in carbon offset transactions. Robbins provide a snapshot of Australia Indigenous carbon economy, highlighting Indigenous communities' participation in carbon offset projects and the socio-economic impacts of such initiatives. This study contributes to understanding the intersection of environmental policy, Indigenous rights, and economic development in carbon markets. We have presented the comparative table for related work, stemming from the methodology baseline manipulation analysis designed by Liu and Kui, which is based on challenges in voluntary offset program integrity, addressing the gap context-specific application in the building industry. Then we have the methodology proposed by Chen, Yang, and Lei, which stands for carbon offset potential effect of PV. In terms of finding PV systems' role in urban emission reduction, as the gap addressed, a broader bibliometric insight into these trends. Then the methodology proposed by Schimbrot and colleagues, which stands for case study for forest offset projects, socio-economic impacts in indigenous settings, and in terms of gap, addressing thematic clustering across multiple sectors. Our present study employed the bibliometric analysis using VOSviewer, wanting to identify key thematic clusters, and in terms of gap, we tried to synthesize trends and actionable insights. As for the methodology, we have utilized VOSviewer software to map and analyze the research landscape related to the keywords carbon offset and building. As for data collection, an all-field search was performed within the Web of Science core collection database. The search used the key terms carbon offset and building without applying any additional constraints. This search strategy yielded a total of 87 relevant publications. The results were then downloaded in plain text format, suitable for bibliometric analysis. As for the data import and pre-processing, the plain text bibliographical data file was imported in VOSviewer. Then for this study, we chose to create a map based on bibliometric data focusing on keyword co-occurrence to identify key terms and trends within the research field. To perform, we set a minimum threshold for keyword co-occurrence of 2 of the 611 keywords identified in the data set. 119 met this threshold. To improve the clarity and relevance of the analysis, we have excluded several keywords deemed unimportant, such as Australia, adoption, China, participation, and other countries. As for the clustering process was performed with a minimum cluster set to 20 keywords, and this resulted in the formation of 4 distinct clusters. Cluster 1, 37 keywords, cluster 2, 25, cluster 3, 23, and cluster 4, 20 keywords. This is the connectivity map we got in the bibliometric analysis. I will further present in the discussion section the discussion. And this is the density of the bibliometric analysis in terms of the keywords. So a few key terms for cluster 1, we had adverse selection, air travelers, land expectation value, soil organic matter sustainability. In terms of cluster 2, we had the following key terms, such as carbon emission, carbon market, carbon neutral, land life, circle market, prospects, small-scale farmers, and so on. For cluster 3, we have identified built environment, carbon footprint, life cycle assessment, uncertainty. And for cluster 4, we had the following key terms, such as afforestation, agriculture, carbon stocks, conservation, institutions, mitigation, and so on. In terms of qualitative analysis of the cluster, I will briefly present a few words about each cluster. We also had the key terms that I mentioned, including health, land exploitation value, management markets. Overall, this cluster reflecting the comparative effort to address climate change through sustainable building practices, carbon accounting, and market-based solution. As for cluster 2, we also saw the key terms referring to prospects, small-scale farmer storage, sustainable development, the keywords indicating a detailed examination of how carbon offset projects are developed, their potential benefits, and their contribution to sustainable goals. For cluster 3, we had keywords such as build environment, carbon footprint, electricity generation, life cycle, urban, highlighting a methodological and analytical approach to understanding and improving the carbon footprint and buildings. The emphasis on uncertainty and multi-objective optimization, pointing to the use of advanced modeling and optimization technique to enhance the sustainability of the built environment. This class underscores the importance of integrating energy efficiency and carbon management into design, construction, and operation of building. And the last cluster, cluster 4, referring to forestry, agriculture, and ecosystem services, reflects the importance of integrating land use practices with broader environmental and sustainability goals, highlighting the potential of forest and agricultural systems to contribute to carbon sequestration and climate change mitigation. Overall, the clusters collectively provide a comprehensive overview of the diverse approaches and thematic areas in the study of carbon offset and sustainability in building practices. They underscore the importance of integrating economic, environmental, social dimensions to address the multi-phase challenges of climate change. And in terms of discussions, the findings underscore the multi-phased and complex approaches and challenges in integrating carbon offset strategies within sustainable built environments. The methodology employed facilitating a comprehensive analysis of current literature, providing insights into technological advancements, socio-economic considerations, and regulatory frameworks crucial for achieving carbon neutrality. We have several novel contributions, also the Zeppel and Beaumont, which provided insight into the motivations of environmentally certified tourism enterprises for engaging in carbon offsetting, highlighting the influence of market incentives and regulatory frameworks. The study of Goodfield, the study of Fisher. Altogether, while significant progress has been made in understanding and implementing carbon offset strategies, several research gaps and future directions emerge from the literature review. Areas needing further exploration include enhancing the transparency and trustworthiness of carbon offset platforms, optimizing financial incentives for sustainable building practices, and also integrating indigenous perspectives into carbon market frameworks. This review highlighted significant technological advancements, the insights from environmentally certified tourism enterprises and industrial facilities, revealed also diverse motivations and barriers, highlighting the critical role of socio-economic factors, and also the studies examining justice considerations in forestry projects and consumer behavior. In aviation, emphasizing the need for equitable distribution of benefits and inclusive decision-making processes. In terms of conclusions, this discussion synthesizes key findings from the literature review, highlighting the integration of technological advancements, socio-economic considerations, and policy implications in advancing carbon neutrality in the built environment. The study examined socio-economical considerations that influence participations, effective policy frameworks emerged also is a crucial determinant in incentive sustainable practices and fostering broader engagement in carbon offset initiatives. We have identified several implications and recommendations for advancing carbon neutrality in the built environment. Policymakers should prioritize the development of supportive practices that provide clearly and incentives for sustainable building practices. Technological integration should continue to be a focal point, with investments directed towards scalable solutions that improve building efficiency and facilitate renewable energy adoption. This study contributes to the insights into the complexities and opportunities surrounding carbon offset strategies in sustainable built environment by addressing technological, socio-economic, and policy dimensions. Stakeholders can collectively work towards achieving carbon neutrality targets while fostering resilient and equitable communities. And also, future research should continue to explore emerging trends and innovations to refine strategies for sustainable development in the face of global climate challenge. And thank you for the